they're walking and they're walking and they're still walking, and it may come to an end eventually. I don't know, but so the long walk, big contest. Let's see what it is all about. Starting with the IMDb plot, a group of teenage boys compete in an annual contest known as the long walk, in which they must maintain a certain walking speed or get shot. Okay, so it's a fairly new one. Been out for a little a little while now. Based on some Stephen King book and so forth. So obviously, Stephen King, between the series and the books and the movies, everything, he keeps going and everything keeps hitting the big screen or the TV screen one way or the other. So here we go with another one. I'm just kind of reading just that and so forth, and then kind of as the movie kind of goes on, it's very surprising to see that they held this movie or decided to do this as a movie. I don't know. I mean, it is as far as what to say about it. Before I really get into the thought of it. It's basically in theory, you get introduced very early on to some of the characters in it. Some of the main ones that we're going to follow, and then some of the other ones were in this group of boys, young men that are in this contest. The contest starts fairly quickly into the movie, and we get kind of right into it as they begin walking and then walking and walking, and then as you see as it goes. You fail, there are certain rules to it as the walking goes, but it's basically, the last man standing basically, and so forth. So, they basically just walk and walk, walk, walk until, there's just one left. There's certain things, and if you don't maintain or whatever, eventually you're shot. So basically, once it starts, you only have two choices. Either you win or you're dead, and that's it. Basically, as they walk, they're being followed by soldiers, escorted down, and then again, if you don't follow the rules and you basically stop walking for any reason, you're dead, and that's it. So just based on that premise, it's just hard to think that they managed to put this in movie form. I could see this working as a book, and going through the conversations of the people and so forth and the soldiers, and kind of maybe in book form. I didn't obviously read the book. I don't know what's in the book, the book versus the movie, what's better, what's not, what is included, what's not, and so forth. But maybe in the book, they could have expanded the characters and gone into more in depth who they are and so forth, where they come from and so forth, or just I don't know, maybe just reading about them and walking, maybe would have seemed better. To watch them on film just walk and walk and walk and walk and walk. For me, I don't know. I'm not gonna say it was all as exciting. Obviously, there are parts. Damn, and they walked for an hour and 48 minutes. I was just looking at that. Wow. Obviously, I guess if you're into a horror movie or a movie where it is very into the characters, very into the character conversation, and maybe less on the action and more in the dialogue and so forth, and learning characters and figuring out which one you're going to care about and not, this movie might be for you. But for those who may want a little bit more going on than just watching people walk and walk and walk, it might be a little harder. Obviously, yeah, there are things that go along the way. One person stops walking, got to tie my shoe. One person stops walking because I got to go to the bathroom. One person stops walking. Not all of the young men are going to get along. Obviously, there's I think 4 that you really get to see a lot of, and they kind of are bonded. I think it was 4, maybe 5 that are kind of bonded early on, and they kind of carry the way as far as the movie and the focus. But then there's others that might be agitators, and there's random ones keep popping up along the way, and I guess the movie also tries to get you to maybe like a character or two, And then it's obviously, for you to be sad when they eventually, stop walking, um, and so forth. And you do learn a little bit about some of them. Like I said, maybe in the book you could learn a lot more, but here, you maybe learn some things along the line. Um, maybe if they would have taken a different approach and done maybe more flashbacks so that you could see, where some of them are coming from and so forth. But I don't know. To me, I saw a lot of people say, they're good reviews, a lot of good comments about it and so forth. Again, I guess if you're just kind of into the characters, really like the characters, like the conversations they had, and so forth, and maybe some of the drama of it, that's fine. I thought when somebody got shot or whatever, you guys know I like the blood and guts, but I mean that's fine. But I mean they're just getting shot, so it's not like a big thing. Not like they're getting axed to death and all this. I think did one get run over by one of the tanks? I don't know. Maybe that was a little exciting, or maybe I was just dreaming. They got run over. I don't know. But yeah, to me, it was just a lot of walking and a lot of talking. So I don't know. I wish that there was more to it, and I kept wondering. I'm like, first of all, being able to actually do this. Obviously, it's a contest, and that's what it is, and so forth. And we have marathons and all kinds of crazy contests these days. But and again, this is also kind of set in a different, I guess, United States or a different setting, not necessarily where we are right now. But and then to basically have this kind of road or whatever kind of paved out, and I guess by military escort, I guess it makes it easy. They do travel through, I guess, some towns, some small towns, I guess, and so forth. But just to have a whole path where they're just walking and walking and walking, and the path never ends, and just keep going. I don't know, and I don't. I think it was telling you, if I remember correctly, how long they had been or whatever. It just, I don't know, it just didn't seem realistic. I've been like, I would have been, there's no way I would have done it because I would have been a dead man a long time ago. There would have been no point because I'd been like, there's just no way. Unless everybody collapses and dies in the first couple of minutes, there's just there would be no point. Obviously, at the end of it, there's this big reward or whatever, and I guess that's part of it. And then, how it kind of, since it's still kind of a new movie, I don't want to give away the ending, but I guess, you could see, again, like I said, if you get into the characters, you really like the characters and what they've said and blah, 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 and, that if you're really into that and caring about what, what is done at the end, I can see how you're like, oh, yes, I like that. I like what happened at the end. I like what happened with the last remaining, few people there and how they handled that and the bond that the guys had together and yeah, that's fine if that worked for you and you liked all that, that's great. For me, I was just like, no, like, come on, like why? Like, I don't know. It's just too long of a walk, too much talking, and just not enough of other stuff going on. Like, just, I need other stuff. I need some more action. I need maybe every once in a while, like a slasher to come out and just like kill people and maybe chase them off the path, even though that was illegal. You weren't supposed to go off the path. I don't know. I just needed, more than just them walking and talking. So I'm just, really surprised that they decided to put this in a movie. I don't know what the budget is or how they did that or whatever, blah, blah. But, I don't know. Again, not knowing, I can't imagine, it was, a whole lot. I guess they had a lot of people. I guess there's a lot of young men, at least to start, and so forth. But basically just walking and shooting them walk and talk. I don't know. I don't know how that was, could have been a huge budget or whatever. But yeah, so there's a lot I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know why, there's lots of, Stephen King stuff that hasn't been done, whatever. And I know that there's stuff coming in the works and so forth. But, and I don't know anything about the book or, how well it did, whatever. But, why they decided this, I don't know. Again, I think I'm in a minority here from what I saw. Lots of people liked it, got good reviews, and so forth. So I'm probably gonna be in the minority here, and I think I'm just gonna give it one pool of blood. And it's not that it's a terrible movie. It's not that it's bad. It's not that it was the acting was terrible or or anything like that. It's just, to me, it was just walking and talking. It just, and just because a few people got shot, to fill, I guess, the horrors of it. You can say what you want to say about how it ended and the dramatics of that, but I don't know. And then, the main bad guy is obviously the sergeant in charge or whatever, general, whatever. And you see him, make his speech at the beginning, and then basically he's just a voice the entire time until the contest basically, is coming to an end. So, it just, maybe if we seen a little bit more about him and what was going on there in his role in all this. And yeah, you find out again, through the conversations of stuff that transpired and happening and so forth. But I don't know. Just it was just all I can say is it was too much walking and talking. I needed other stuff to happen, and it was great that they bonded. But at the end of the day, I could care less. You can call me the black heart here or whatever, but I could care less. By the time this ended, and I still can't believe it's an hour and 48 minutes. But so yeah, I'm gonna go one pool of blood with this one. Again, not that the movie's bad, not that just not of interest to me at the end of the day. So I'm probably in the minority here. So you can kill me on this one, but that's what's happening. 1 out of 5 pools of blood for this one. So with that, horrorlsgoryreviews.blogspot.com, so you can find all my reviews written in video. Certainly tons of video reviews for quite a while now, so you can like and subscribe and do everything else that everybody wants you to do here on YouTube. If not, no worries. It's okay. I thank you for your time regardless. And if you hate me for giving it one pool of blood, I thank you for your time regardless. Twitter, Facebook, information down below. Feel free to reach out. Complain that I give this one pool of blood. Feel free to. And definitely in the comment section, again, if you loved it and hate me for giving one pool of blood, feel free to let me know. Otherwise, I will catch you on the next review, horror fans.